For more than 5,000 years, Malta's megalithic temples and incredible underground structures have stood as testament to a once great culture, of whom very little is known. And some researchers believe that this civilization existed on the islands thousands of years earlier than mainstream archaeologists suggest. To further investigate this intriguing theory, Giorgio Tsoukalos and Eric von Daniken, along with local historian Frans van Aventag, have traveled to another one of Malta's most mysterious ancient sites, the Temple of Mnidra.
So what are we looking at here with this corridor here?
It is believed this is one of the oldest solar calendars in the world. We find that that stone, at the winter solstice, the right edge is lit up. Alternatively, this is the summer solstice stone. So at sunrise, light will fall through the entrance and touch upon this stone. Now, if you look at it today, the alignments are maybe different than it was in the past, in the very, very far past.
But the oldest culture, roughly 4,000 or 5,000, according to archaeology?
According to archaeology, this is around 3,300 before modern era.
But then we have another solution, which one of your local Dr. Micallef came forward to.
Right, and Micallef calculated that with one of these stones, for it to line up correctly, it would have to correspond to a date of 10,200 BC.
Maltese land surveyor and cartographer Paul Micallef proposed that based on celestial alignments, the Temple of Mnidra appears to have been built far earlier than mainstream archaeologists claim.
We know for a fact that the tilt of the Earth has changed, but with modern-day computer technology, we can sort of rewind the night sky to the time as it was back then. And he determined that was 10,200 BC, when the light on both the winter and the summer solstice would actually line up exactly on both ends of that slab. So clearly we have another connection to the stars, a celestial bridge, so to speak.
And you know, Frans said, this is the oldest part of the temple, which means far back, maybe 5,000 years or more, these people were watching the stars. They were looking for something. They were hoping for something. Maybe they were waiting for the return of the gods. The old question remains, which gods?
Right.
While excavations of ancient sites continue throughout Malta, many scholars agree that the archaeological wonders found both above ground and below provide an unparalleled glimpse into the planet's earliest human societies. And as far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, Malta holds the secrets of a profound past that we've only begun to uncover.
When you put all the pieces together of what we see in these temples on Malta, the engineering knowledge that was required, the astronomical knowledge that's encoded within them, and you realize you're dealing with a primitive time, someone had to have brought it from somewhere. Who were these beings? If we can ultimately answer this question, it's going to lead to a revelation of perhaps some of the greatest mysteries of all of human history.
Malta is one of these islands which is not understandable. Why on such a small island so many temples? I think they were extraterrestrials. They were a race of giants. The reality is we are just one of the intelligent species in the universe. There are many other species. Extraterrestrials were here thousands of years ago. Extraterrestrials are here today. We are under observation.
Malta, a small island nation in the center of the Mediterranean Sea, just south of Italy. Scholars believe the first inhabitants migrated here from the nearby island of Sicily in 5200 BC. Today, stone structures on the Maltese island of Gozo are considered by archaeologists to be among the greatest achievements by ancient builders anywhere in the world.
The temples on Malta and Gozo are more than 1,000 years older than the pyramids of Egypt. They are the earliest monumental architecture in the world. There are engineering features in these temples that are just astonishing. We're talking about walls enclosing space, paved walkways, they were ceilinged at one time. Definitely much more complex than anything else that was appearing on Earth for a very long time.
Built before metal tools or the wheel had been invented, experts are baffled by the sheer scale of the construction and the use of vertically arranged monolithic stones, each weighing over 20 tons.
It's only been in recent years that we've developed instruments that are accurate enough to appreciate that some of these ancient societies were able to shape stones to optical accuracy greater than what we're able to do today. And so they must have had some kind of advanced technology enabled to do that.
But if the ancient builders of Malta had used advanced technology, where did it come from? Researchers believe answers may be found among Malta's numerous mysteries, including the so-called cart ruts, which can be found all over Malta.
These parallel incisions in the bedrock have been identified as cart ruts because that's what they look like. What they really were, what their purpose was, we don't know. There's nothing written.
The cart ruts on Malta are about 4 feet wide. They're uniformly spaced. Some of them run hundreds of yards. Some of them run miles. According to the studies of them, they probably were there up to 10,000 years ago because some of the ancient temples are built right on top of the ruts.
Ancient astronaut theorists believe the cart ruts may, in fact, be evidence that Malta was one of Earth's earliest industrial work sites.
It seems like what these cart ruts really were was some kind of ancient railway. And this railway was then to move heavy machinery, much as we would use today in a mining operation, even the way rockets are rolled out onto a launch pad.
Further evidence of the use of advanced technology on Malta can be found underground. In 1902, construction workers, while building the foundation for several houses, accidentally discovered a mysterious underground sanctuary dating to 2500 BC. Called the Hypogeum, the subterranean structure was revealed to be 3 levels deep, all hewn from solid stone.
It's been estimated that they removed more than 2,000 tons of stone from these subterranean chambers to create a space that beautifully replicates the temples above ground.
Perhaps one of the greatest mysteries concerning the Hypogeum involve the acoustical properties in what is called the Oracle Room.
The acoustic properties within this are absolutely extraordinary, because what happens is that if a person is within the Oracle Room, the way that their voice is carried is heard within the whole of the complex.
The ancients were using this profound sound technology in order to put themselves into a deep state of trance in order to access higher human consciousness. They wanted to go deep within in order to connect themselves with star energy.
Might the Oracle Room have been used to communicate with ancient gods? Or perhaps celestial ancestors? Or do its advanced acoustics suggest that early Maltese people had mastered the science of sonic manipulation, the ability to manipulate solid matter through audio frequencies?
One of the main things that I've realized is that they're using something called fractal nonlinear resonance. And we're now discovering in the field of material science that nonlinear resonances of sound waves, microwaves, magnetic waves, that we are able to actually change matter in ways that we never dreamed possible.
If the Oracle Room was used to harness the power of audio waves, as many ancient astronaut theorists believe, is it possible the prehistoric builders used sonic technology to help build Malta's mammoth temples?
The builders had this advanced knowledge of sonic technology. And in fact, sound technology can be used for all kinds of applications, including levitation or anti-gravity.
All around the world, there are myths and legends relating to how large structures came into being. They talk about the movement of stones through the use of sound, about the use of instruments or the banging, the ringing that will elevate stones enough so that they can be pushed as if they've become completely weightless.
It would appear that the builders at Malta had very advanced knowledge of things we're just now discovering. And you would think that they got this knowledge from extraterrestrials.
In the center of the Mediterranean Sea, between Italy and Africa, lies a three-island archipelago that makes up the Republic of Malta.
Malta is this really small island nation just south of Sicily, and it's so small it's only 122 square miles in its entirety. But because it's a dead center of the Mediterranean Sea, Malta really packs a punch historically.
Malta has been a strategic outpost for many of the most powerful cultures in the world. But what makes Malta one of the most unique locations on Earth are its massive stone ruins, whose origins could date back thousands of years before any known civilization ever set foot on her shores.
It was assumed that Malta was a long-lost Greek colony from the Mycenaean period. And this goes from, maybe 800 BC to sometime before 1200 BC. However, because of radiocarbon dating in the mid-20th century, we discovered that Malta is actually one of the oldest megalithic sites in the world.
Mainstream archaeologists now know that Malta's oldest megalithic structures were built at least 5,600 years ago. But little is known about who these ancient builders were and how long their culture existed.
One of the most pressing questions about the megalithic builders is what happened to these amazing super smart guys who built all this stuff? Because the last known evidence of them being there is about 3,000 years ago. They were there one minute, archaeologically speaking, and gone the next.
While the world's first known human civilization, the Sumerians, is said to have emerged in Mesopotamia around 4000 BC, some researchers believe the ancient inhabitants of Malta lived on the Mediterranean islands thousands of years earlier. As evidence, they point to mysterious carvings found throughout the area called cart ruts.
Something that Malta is very well known for archaeologically, besides the megalithic temples, are the cart ruts. These are ruts literally in the limestone rock. The traditional view is that they were eroded into the rock, literally by carts being pulled over the soft rock.
We don't know what these cart ruts are. You could speculate it was for a wagon, for a chariot. No, it was not, because sometimes they come together. The width changes all the time, so it cannot be for chariot. It were the footsteps of the animals, etc. We have many theories what these cart ruts are, and we have no finally scientifically clear answer. The fact is, these cart ruts also go underwater.
We have cart ruts that go into the Mediterranean Sea, and then they also come out on the other side. How is this possible?
Some of the cart ruts that extend from dry land down into the sea have reportedly been found at depths of as much as 140 feet. This presents a critical clue as to just how long ago they must have been created.
I suspect that some of these cart ruts are really ancient, and when I say really ancient, that is going back to before the end of the last ice age. Approximately 12,000 years ago, the ice age ended, we know, by incredible warming, incredible rises in sea level. So if some of these cart ruts go back to an early enough period, what looks like it's going into the water, that would have been dry land when sea levels were much lower.
If you propose the idea that 12,000 years ago, which is a fact, the worldwide water levels were lower, then all of a sudden these cart ruts that go into the Mediterranean Sea make sense. The last time that area was free of water, and when also Malta was connected to Sicily and to Italy with a land bridge, that was 12,000 years ago. So the fact that these cart ruts exist, to me, illustrates that an advanced civilization must have existed at that time.
Grendy, Malta. Located on the rugged south coast of the main island, this historic village is home to a mysterious megalithic temple called Mnajdra. This complex consists of stone structures that are laid out in the pattern of a trefoil, 3 interconnected circular chambers.
There are actually 3 temples at the complex of Mnajdra. The South Temple seems to be aligned specifically to function as a solar calendar. The temple is aligned so that the sunrise on the equinox, the 2 times each year when daylight and darkness are exactly equal, the sun rises exactly in the central corridor and lights up the whole temple all the way to the back. On other times of the year, there are other stones that reflect the solstice daybreak.
Mainstream archaeologists estimate that the oldest temple at Mnajdra was built sometime around 3600 BC by the same builders who constructed the Gigantia Temple. According to local folklore, these ancient builders were giants.
The idea of giants comes from the fact that it's so big. There's no way that regular human people could stack all these stones up and create such mammoth buildings. It had to be giants.
In 1992, University of Malta professor Paul Micallef published a book that claimed Mnajdra is thousands of years older than historians believe and pinpoints the construction to 10,200 BC. He came to this conclusion because based on the tilt of the Earth at that point in time, on the morning of the summer solstice, a beam of light would have come through the main entrance of the Mnajdra Temple and been cast directly on the center of an altar stone. The only way this could be achieved is if Mnajdra was built specifically with the end effect in mind.
Over huge periods of time, the rising of the sun on the summer solstice moves to different parts of the sky. And this is called the precession of the equinoxes, the Earth's wobble over a nearly 26,000 year period.
If Paul Micallef's analysis is correct, it would predate the Earth's earliest known civilizations by some 6,000 years. So how were sophisticated megalithic structures with precise astronomical alignments built on an isolated island thousands of years before the emergence of civilization? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest the knowledge to do this was given to the people of Malta by giants who were not of this Earth.
We
automatically assume that extraterrestrials might be what we describe today as the gray aliens. But more than likely, we're going to be confronted with the fact that these species are far different than we previously understood.
Astrophysicists are typically saying that the larger the planet, the greater the gravitational field. And in theory, if some aliens are actual giants, even twice the size of us, as an example, perhaps they're coming from planets that are actually smaller than the Earth and has a smaller gravity, and therefore they grow larger than we are.
Could the megalithic temples on Malta have been built by a lost civilization that thrived 12,000 years ago, possibly with the aid of giant beings who descended from the sky? Mishraq Gar El Kabir, located on the southwest coast of Malta. This region is home to some of the most baffling formations found anywhere on the planet. A complex network of grooves carved into the rock known simply as cart ruts.
The cart ruts on Malta are about 4 feet wide. They're uniformly spaced. Some of them run hundreds of yards. Some of them run miles.
These parallel incisions in the bedrock have been identified as cart ruts because that's what they look like. What they really were, what their purpose was, we don't know. There's nothing written. There's no way really to tell. But there are a lot of them. In some places, they are so crisscrossed and complex that the area has been called Clapham Junction after the train station in London.
Author Gordon Weston has been studying this strange anomaly for more than a decade, and in 2010 wrote a book called The Maltese Cart Ruts: Unraveling an Enigma, in which he examines the various theories about how they might have been formed.
So Gordon, tell me what you think.
Well, it's got a half a lifetime?
Absolutely, yes.
Basically, you couldn't drive a cart down here. The cart would be wrecked. Early researchers looked at vehicles that would scrape away the rock because that's what it looks like's happened. There was 3 devices. The first one was a sledge, probably the oldest form of human transport, but they found that the sledge immediately got stuck. So the 2 other devices have been looked at. One was a travois, used by the Plains Indians to transport their teepees from camp to camp. The problem is the poles would be wider than these ruts when they touch the ground. The next device is called a slide car. It's a load platform with 2 runners on it. It's a fanciful and ridiculous idea. Practical experiments and that have seen that it just doesn't work. Its science is useless for this problem. There is no methodology which can be applied scientifically to these ruts.
So in St. George's Bay, in a city called Bursabuja, there are a couple of ruts that go straight into the Mediterranean Sea.
They are famous, you're right. It is interesting to see that ruts go into the sea. They also said to have come up on the other side of the bay that is now built over. So how do you explain it?
It might be that we're looking at a technology we don't understand. The ruts go off into the sea. Underwater, people have dived down and found miles away. So apparently, either the sea level rose or the land subsided, or maybe both. During the last ice age, the sea level was 300 feet lower. So it could have been that 10,000, 15,000 years ago, the islands were inhabited by people who used these so-called cart ruts to transport stones across the island.